Well, boy, I would say things are definitely escalating a little bit quickly. What in the world's really going on here? As Alex Jones has now officially declared that we are in World War IV? Huh? Did we skip one over? He has an explanation for that, as of course now it looks like we are getting some early reports that Tomahawk missiles allegedly have been officially approved by the United States to be used by the Ukrainian government, really the U.S. government and NATO, against long-range Russian military strategic targets, most likely going after their energy infrastructure, as we have some very tough words from the head of NATO now warning about a chain of events that, if triggered, could mean that Alex Jones is absolutely right here. Now, who's telling the truth? The reports are coming in, as of course now Putin is saying, hey, you got Tomahawk missiles? You got Tomahawk? We'll debut a new weapon that we're working on. What is that new weapon? Who knows? But the Russians have literal space weapons, tsunami weapons, and a lot of other tech that we do not know about, as the United States has also been kind of signaling, hey, we got weapons, as Donald Trump has said before, that you can't even fathom and imagine the damage that could be done here. As Alex Jones, outside of what some people are saying is an M&M store, had some interesting, important things to say. Now, some people are saying he's being a little bit too hyperbolic here. Some people are saying he's not being hyperbolic enough. And overall, we're going to go over his assessment, the corporate media's assessment, and then kind of give you our kind of logical conclusion to what's happening here on the ground here, as a lot of people are saying, hey, all of this is a ruse by the military-industrial complex, as Robert Barnes here has been placing some criticisms on Donald Trump. Who's in the right? We're going to be talking about that in this particular video. And if you appreciate these type of interesting conversations, subscribe. Click the notification button, as of course we greatly appreciate all the time and attention that you spend with us. Now, the issue of Tomahawk missiles seems like the kind of ultimate threat that Donald Trump has been issuing. Ever since then, the Russians have been trying to show goodwill towards the United States. We just reported earlier, Russia is giving their full investigation on what happened to JFK to the U.S. government. Putin has come out and says Donald Trump absolutely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, will that stop and prevent Donald Trump from giving Ukraine Tomahawk missile systems? That's another key factor in all of this that allegedly has already been determined, as the leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, says that the U.S. sending long-range Tomahawk missiles, which could be equipped with nuclear weapons, to Ukraine would escalate tensions to the point of nuclear war. Now, why does he say that? Well, just logically, when you look at the kind of scenario here, Tomahawk missile systems could be equipped with nukes. Now, when they are equipped with nukes, when they do fly, they usually fly in low altitude, virtually impossible to stop with missile defense systems. Now, Russia is getting reports, oh, there could be a nuke flying our way. Prepare and ready your nukes. As, of course, this could be the perfect sneak attack to launch those nukes. As, of course, the Russians have continuancy of government plans and the dead man switch, which they also boast about, saying, hey, look, nuke us, wipe us all out. Wipe out the whole political leadership. We have a dead man switch. And again, it's and Medvedev was just talking about this. He's a part of Russia's Security Council, the former Russian president. Some people say the biggest confidant of Vladimir Putin. When you know someone dies, and their hand's over a button, falls down and activates the nuclear bombs that are going to be making their way against the United States. That's what we're dealing with here, a very serious scenario, as the NATO chief now is coming out and talking about a scenario and situation that if China targets Taiwan, which there are credible reports highlighting how Russia is training China to do that, since Russia is getting a lot of advanced information about modern warfare, that if that happens, that would mean that then Russia would target Europe. Is that the actual truth of what would happen here? But this is how they see it. And again, we're just seeing this kind of tit-for-tat escalatory track that we're on that is ridiculous. the Russians are like, the Europeans are going to attack us. The Europeans are like, the Russians are going to attack us. And then you just see the kind of escalatory track that it all leads on. And it's like, no, we're going to do it before they do it. It's crazy type of thinking that leads us to the brink of potentially a world-ending type of event. As we have some reports, and again, I haven't been able to verify this for full transparency's sake, that NATO has already proved Tomahawk missile systems to be supplied to Ukraine. Now, is this true? I don't know. We're getting a senior alliance official confirmed. Again, who? Stop with these anonymous sources. All right? Stop with anonymous sources. Again, so much fake news, disinformation. So much also type of escalatory remarks that are just ridiculous. They're just ridiculous. What are you doing? What are you guys doing? Stop it. You're being ridiculous. Unnamed, who knows, Johnny come lately, unknown person says that the missiles are a complement to Ukraine's existing arsenal, not a decisive shift in war. For Russia, it's a big decisive shift. Tomahawks, capable of striking targets over 1,500 kilometers away, would allow Ukraine to reach deep into Russian territory. Military analysts say that this could disrupt supply lines, command centers, and air base far from the front lines. Russia's reaction. Russia has for months warned of serious consequences if the U.S. and NATO proceed with the transfer. Putin accused the West of escalating the conflict and hinted at a potential response, but NATO remains unfazed, and the officials confirmed that NATO is neither trying to offend Putin's Russia nor afraid of Russia's reaction. You're offending them when you're saying, yeah, we might, shoot nukes at you. As Vladimir Putin has his own personal response to this. We're going to play that. We're going to talk about Alex's kind of assessment on this. But before going into all of that and a lot more, we wanted to remind you very quickly to sign up to lookunfiltered.com. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. I have a very fascinating group chat that you get to join just by signing up to lookunfiltered.com. I always appreciate being able to talk to all of you amazing human beings that allow this organization to exist. I am humbly, always greatly appreciative of all the support during these crazy, insane times that are only going to get crazier and more insane. In exchange for that, you get access to me one-on-one in the Telegram chat, 3 master classes. We're going to do a live stream just for members. And this is the kind of a direct way just to show your support. Hey, you've been doing this for 20 years. I appreciate it. I want to see you do more and incredible stuff. I'm in talks about doing some on-the-ground reporting. Again, lots of it is pretty dangerous. Lots of it is pretty sketchy. So as all of this type of things kind of unfold here, I still have to greatly appreciate all the support. And again, it's not that much, 20 cents a day, $8 a month. We're going to have to raise prices. I went out there to the real world, not making my own coffee. I had to order coffee. And I was like, what? It's not even $8 anymore. It's like $9, $10 per lot. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. We're going to have to raise the price. I'm not going to raise the prices on the people who already bought in. Whatever you bought in, you're set. We had people that were bought in at 5. The people are still at 5. We respect them being at 5. When we raise the prices, and again, you can join for whatever you want. You got a lot of money, join for the top tier. Why not? This is how you support us moving forward. Now, Putin had a response to a lot of this, which is, I think, pretty important here, as this is what he had to say. Here's what I said in the old days. The old days. This is all evolving. We are finalizing it, and I think we will have an opportunity to report in the near future on the new weapons that we once announced they are appearing. They are being tested by us, and they are going well. As for the intercontinental component, at sea, in the air, I repeat, at the novelty, the modernity, and the military says we have a very high level. We support it. We are ready to negotiate. Now, why did he say that? He's like, hey, we got something big. Because he's kind of saying, we're going to debut this weapon. Might do a little show. Might happen in the Baltic Sea. Might happen in the Black Sea. Might happen in Siberia. Might happen in the Arctic. And then it's like, you want us to use this against you or not? That is a kind of show of force threat here that is very serious. As Alex Jones had this to say at what looks like the Denver airport.
The Ukraine-Russia war, the NATO-U.S. proxy war with Russia, has come to its most dangerous point at this time. Russia has succeeded in its special military operations, securing the east of Ukraine and Crimea. And now because Ukraine is not having elections and now not suing for peace, and NATO has decided to continue on, Russia is expanding and taking even more cities and more towns and talking about encircling Kharkiv and Kiev and then forcing everybody to evacuate and then leveling the place.
Now, so far, it's definitely a war of attrition that the Russians are waging because they know that the Ukrainians just don't have enough manpower. The Russians have a lot of manpower, and they're having major mobilizations and conscriptions of a lot of military service members. From what I've read with the reports online, there's usually two fronts on the Ukrainian side of soldiers on the front line, and then their kind of backup defensive forces. The Russians allegedly have 4 lines on the front, right, that people get to kind of go through, and then they have less soldiers that are on the front lines, while the Ukrainians have a lot of soldiers on the front lines that don't get rotated out that quickly. 4 levels of rotation on the Russian side, 2 levels of rotations on the Ukrainian side, obviously because Ukraine just doesn't have enough people. Now, there's even Latin American cartel organizations that use this type of scenario in order to bring in the foreign mercenaries to fight on the side of the Ukrainians that get trained in modern warfare, especially with the drone warfare, in order to help out their cartels back home when they finish their first tour of duty here. There's also a lot of Colombian mercenary groups fighting in Ukraine as well. Now, the Russians are using Africans, the Russians are using Koreans, North Korean troops as well, to help them bolster their troop levels. And so far, a lot of people are calling the Russian summer offensive an absolute failure. Now, the line's moved a little bit. The Ukrainian defenses held up. But the theory that the Russians are kind of coming out with are saying, look, we're just going to deplete their people, deplete their resources. We have all the resources. We have our own military industrial complex. We have our own factories. They're activated. They're ready to go. They're making munitions faster, quicker, cheaper. Now they're a big part of the Russian economy. The American artillery is a lot slower to make and a lot more expensive to produce. This is what the Russians are kind of assessing here, being like, look, we want a better advantage here, not just territory. Now, a lot of people in the West, I think, are mistakenly saying, no, the Russians aren't getting any territory. They're losing. Well, again, the numbers are very stark here, especially with the loss of life, and it's far more significant than a lot of people understand. I don't understand why we have so many people being like, oh, stop the bloodshed in Gaza. Okay, I get it. I want to stop that too, and I 100% agree with that notion. But compared to what's happening in Ukraine, the numbers are way higher in Ukraine. Way higher. Way, way, way higher. But of course, it's white men dying, and of course, that's trendy, and that's more kind of like what Netflix and the PSYOPs kind of divisions wants to push and propel, and they're like, oh yeah, whatever, yeah, go. More war in Ukraine. The same people who are like, stop the war in Gaza. More war in Ukraine now, please. White guys are dying there, good. On a primal, animalistic level, that's really what's kind of going on here. In reality, like, no, we gotta fight the prisoner. Oh my goodness gracious, those people are special. I'm just against all wars personally. You know why? Because war's bad. Why? It's that simple. It's a demonic sacrifice to the demons out there. I just don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. It's like, we're fighting over this territory. It's going to be ours. It's going to be yours. It's like, take a backseat. In a perfect world, the world leaders would get in the cage. You take a pole stick, you just break it in half, throw it in there, be like, figure it out. Figure it out. Put it on UFC. Whoever survives their country wins. Boom. That's it.
So that's what happens in these wars if these escalations continue. And NATO has not come to the table with any of the deals that Putin had basically agreed with Trump. So now Trump says that he is going to give them Tomahawk cruise missiles in the next few weeks, he thinks. Russia came out today and said that is absolute war. That is direct war. You do that, we're going to start targeting NATO targets. This is why there was a threat escalation ladder the RAND Corporation developed in the 50s that has been adopted worldwide. Every government uses it, okay?
Yeah, and this is why Russia says, listen, you're going to try to send these Tomahawk missiles, we're going to destroy them before they even come in. Now, that means a direct strike on NATO. NATO would see that as a direct attack on it, and then it would declare Article 5 of NATO. Full-on war. Now, are the Russians waiting for something to happen between China and Taiwan in order to make this a perfect opportune time? That's what NATO's saying.
Okay. That's why, remember, Biden said we can't give them F-16s and Abrams tanks. That leads to World War III.
Yeah, now we're going to give them missiles that are capable of having nuclear weapons on them? What? What is Trump doing?
That's because on the escalation ladder, there's the next escalation, the next escalation, and we're following the exact escalation up
to the point of like, yeah, we're just going to be at full war. Why not? We already are.
Into limited nuclear war, total nuclear war, that basically just happens in a few hours once you go in the last few steps of this. So we have such a normalcy bias, though, that everybody just seems like, oh, that's a million miles away. Ukraine might as well be Mars. It's not. China just cut off all rare earth mineral exports to anybody that works for the U.S. They control 95% of it, okay?
Yep, international. And that's why Trump decided to retaliate back 100% tariffs, full-on economic war. Now, is Alex wrong with his assessment that this is World War IV? I think it's a little preliminary. I think we're getting there. And I think we are reaching a place where we need to have a serious conversation about our policy, our role here in all of this, and how to de-escalate the tensions and work out a kind of resolution here where there's a little bit more pressure put back on the West. There's a lot of pressure put back on the other side. I get it. I understand it. Trump feels kind of backstabbed by Putin here. But is Alex's assessment and analysis here incorrect? No. I don't think it is. I think he's dead on, and I think he's absolutely right when it comes to all the things that he specifically is arguing here and talking about here. Now, again, New York Times just wrote an op-ed piece. Putin is escalating. Listen, when you're talking about sending like nuclear-capable weapon systems into all of some of the country, that's a little bit of an escalation, all right? Not to be defensive against Russia that started this war, but I think it's fair to say that there's escalatory tracks here on both sides here. And just saying, no, it's all them. It's all them. It's a little ridiculous here. As we have the head of NATO talking about how he does not fear the Russian military and how NATO has a bigger economy, 25 times bigger than the Russian economy, and that their military is infinitely superior than the Russian military. Okay, but the Russians have nukes. The Russians have space weapons. The Russians have tsunami weapons. And they're talking about a new type of weapon that, whether true or not, is ridiculous while we're spending huge sums of money. As Phoenix Ammunitions points out, $2 million of your tax money per missile with a 6% hit rate. We're using interception technology designated in 1969 and fielded in 1984 to fight a war where the other side is using missiles designated and invented between 2017 and 2025. Yet it's possible to upgrade systems over time, but eventually you'll be limited by the base design and you're going to hit a wall on performance. The same can be said for the Tomahawks. A 25-year-old Ferrari is fast, sure, but it's never going to be a modern supercar. Hundreds of millions of dollars is being wasted with very little to show for it. Yeah. Perfect example of the military-industrial complex, which, by the way, never really had a full audit. Donald Trump, during his recent cabinet meetings, also had this to say, which Robert Barnes said is complete BS, and that Trump is, quote, listening to idiots.
He's lost 1.5 million soldiers, probably, close. Certainly in terms of wounded and no legs and no arms and all the things that happen in horrible wars. It's a horrible war. That's the biggest thing that's happened since World War II in terms of death. It's bigger than any of them. I settled 8 of them. The biggest is that in terms of death. Incredible. I think India, Pakistan had great potential too. We did a great job in that one. But he's got to really settle this war. And they have long lines waiting for gasoline in Russia right now, right?
That's because the Ukrainians have targeted their infrastructure. Some people are saying it's a major hit. Some people are saying it's not that major of a hit here. Putin has come out with his 5 list of demands to end this war. The West hasn't heard about it. Some people are saying it's reasonable. Some people are saying it's unreasonable. But obviously, we're in an impasse here that only shows more escalation.
Have long lines. Who thought that was going to happen? And all of a sudden, his economy is going to collapse.
Now, is the Russian economy going to collapse? And again, some people are saying that was the whole strategy. It's a war of attrition that's meant to be a forever war that the military-industrial complex gets to reap in all of the benefits from. Stop this war! If you agree, share this video. Slavic Lives Matter. Thank you for everyone's support on LukeUnfiltered.com. I wouldn't be here. We've been a principled anti-war voice 20 years. I remember protesting the Iraq War before it even started, doing content, releasing it, putting it online related to that. Way back when. MySpace days. I had MySpace days. Man, look at that. No more war. And then we'll get his war. And what do we get to show for it? Nothing. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more all here exclusively on YouTube.com/WeAreChange.